Hey Hebrew fans, this is Todd. Let's talk about how to fix loose ankles on action figures. It happens all the time. You buy an action figure, you put him on the shelf, and he falls over. So let's talk about the tools. First, you need a nice flat tip screwdriver. You're going to need some sort of smooth tool to push the ankle back in with if you have issues. And you're going to need some Q-tips. And of course, you're going to need some sort of cleaning wipes, one wet and one dry. One of each. And a hairdryer in order to heat up the joint when it comes to taking it apart and putting it back together. So let's start with the figure. Let's heat up the ankle joint. You can see I'm working it from both sides, being careful not to overheat it. Get it nice and toasty warm. Basically what we're trying to do is soften the plastic. Get that plastic nice and soft. Once it's soft, you can try to pull it off. You may have to use a screwdriver in order to pry it off, but sometimes you can get it without the screwdriver. Be careful not to stab yourself. Most injuries happen to your free hand that doesn't have the tool in it, so be careful so you don't stab your finger with that screwdriver. Okay, once you pry it apart, there we go. You can see it up close. Now this is where we're going to put the glue inside the hole. And we're going to avoid putting it on the top of it. We don't want it exposed so people can see it after we put it back together. Let's go ahead and take off the other one. Get it nice and toasty warm. Again, pull it off. Sometimes it takes a little bit of force to get it off. Alright. There we have it. Clean your parts before you start. This is important. The glue will not adhere very well if the part's not completely clean. You want to make sure to wipe it wet and then also make sure you wipe it dry. Get it really clean, get off any oils or residues. Make sure you get inside that tongue terminal. Get it really clean. Do it to both of them. Alright, now we're going to take and use some glue. This is the light application of glue, and basically it's to kind of prime the surface for the glue to stick. So put a little bit of glue on there, not a lot. Then you want to grab your Q-tip and wipe it around and get that glue with a nice thin layer. Now the Q-tip will cause the glue to dry almost instantly, so you want to be careful when you do this step, because the glue will adhere the Q-tip to the actual foot peg itself, so be careful. And again, just a real thin layer. You don't want to get any glue on that surface. Just on the inside and on the facing edges. Make sure it's on both sides and the hole. And of course, do it to both boots or both feet. Alright, just wait for the glue to dry. It should take about 10-15 minutes because we used the Q-tip on it. Okay, now that it's dry, we're going to add a whole lot more glue. Now the second application of glue, we want to fill the top portion of the hole, and I'll show you in a minute what it looks like, and on that face surface that is going to be up inside the top part of the boot. Make sure you don't do it on both sides. It's important that you have it on the inside and that top surface, otherwise it will just break off when you go to use the foot. So make sure you have it completely coated. Make sure you do both boots. Again, the top part of the circle and the faces on both sides that will actually make contact with the inside of the boot, the bottom half of the boot. Make sure you get enough in there, because when it dries, sometimes it shrivels up and becomes smaller. So it's okay to use too much. If you use too much, it's really easy to scrape some out if you have to. Just be careful not to plug the hole completely. You're just trying to get it on the top half of the hole. Alright, there we go. You can see how I have the glue on the top half and up on the facing surfaces. I put it on really thick. So let's go ahead and do a preliminary dry on this, just to get that glue to stay kind of in place. We don't want it to get all over the place. This won't completely dry the glue, but it does kind of give it a little bit thicker type texture. Make sure you're using the right kind of super glue. The super glue you want to use is actually the, I find Loctite works really good for this, and you want the gel control kind of super glue. Gel control. This gel control will allow you to stack it up easily. If you use the real runny super glue, it's not going to work for you. It's going to be a mess. So you want the gel control. Alright, make sure you dry both of them. And again, this is just a preliminary dry. This will not completely dry the feet. We don't expect it to. It's going to take some time for it to dry completely. You can tell this process takes a while sometimes to get that glue to start to set up. The glue usually dries by moisture in the air, so if you don't have enough moisture in the air, it will take longer for it to dry. Alright, wait for it to dry. It can take a long time, sometimes as long as 24 hours. So here it is dry. You can see that clunk of white, crusty glue on there. It's nice and solid on there. It goes in the hole and up on those two faces on both sides. Now it's time to reassemble our He-Man figure. First thing we have to do is reheat that area where we're going to put it back together. Now, sometimes putting it back together can be really tricky. Just be patient. If you have to use that smooth tool to put it in, I find the corner of my desk works really good for this. I'll show you the process in a second, how you kind of have to stuff the boot in there. So first, pry it open, get it on the peg. Make sure you have the right foot for the right leg, so check the toe. Now, you can first try to use your smooth tool to push it in. I find sometimes it's kind of hard to do. Sometimes it just goes right in, no problem. Other times it just doesn't work. You can see I'm putting a lot of force in there. It just did not line up. I'm going to reheat the final snap. I'm just going to use the corner of my desk. It seems to work really well for that. Give it a little shove and you'll feel it just snap right into place. Once it does, you know that it is set and secure. Sometimes it can take a little bit of force to get it back in there. Just be patient. Eventually you'll get it. Alright. Now you can see the foot's already a lot tighter. Okay, now for the other one. Same procedure, heat it up. This time I'm not even going to try to use the smooth tool. I'm just going to use my corner of my desk. It just seems for me to work a lot better. I find like my bathroom counter works great for this too. It's got a really nice sharp little point to hang on the one side of it while I push it in. And it's wood, so it won't cause any damage. It just depends on whatever countertop you can find. Sometimes you get lucky and you just push it with your fingers and it goes right together. I've had that happen in the past, where it just lines right up and it's no issue. Just depends how much paint Mattel used on it. Alright, a little bit of force, shove that in there. And there we go. You can see now both feet are nice and tight. You can still stand him up relatively easy, but now he won't fall over. There he is. And you can see as I zoom in on this foot, there's no glue exposed that you can see. If you would have got it on the top of that ring, then you would have ended up seeing the white glue in that spot.